Welcome back to 365 Unlimited. We are back with another episode. We got a very, very special guest in the building tonight. Excited to hear his story. Logan Lee is in the building with us. It's going
Got
to
off
be
to
a
a hot
great
start
one.
there.
We can't wait to hear his story and learn more about him on and off the field. Gannon, let's take this one away.
First off, man, this is an Iowa legend. Guy who played 5 years with the COVID year, did a lot of stuff on and off the field for the town, the community of Iowa City. We're going to touch on that. People know me in my sports history as Cubs, Packers, Hawkeyes. It's kind of been the thing for me growing up. So this is awesome. This is the first, I think, Iowa player other than Isaiah Bruce, who was a guy from our hometown
Oh,
three,
yeah.
4 years ago. Yep. So it's the second Iowa guy we have on here. But, man, Logan Lee, thank you very much for hopping on. Just kind of tell you a little bit about yourself before we get into some specifics.
Yeah, grew up in a small town, 1,900 folks. Ended up being able to have the opportunity to meet my wife in high school, too. So we've been together since sophomore year of high school. Ended up wrestling, doing football, just any sport I could do until we ended up getting into college. And then I was fortunate enough to be able to play at a school like Iowa. And I had 5 years there, started my last three consecutive seasons, and ended the career pretty strong, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely did, and I just want to mention a quick shout out to your wife Tori for allowing us to
Mm-hmm.
to set this interview up. I actually attended college in UW Whitewater, got to know her a little bit through the physical
Yep.
education program. So very thankful for her to help us get this one in. And I know let's just talk about that right away. What has she been like? Family, friends, your wife. What does that support system do for you as an athlete, especially having it since them high school years?
Yeah, it's truly incredible the way that God has placed so many great people in my life. I've had my parents, my sister, my whole dad's side of the family, my mom's side of the family have always been very involved. My whole dad's side of the family lives, I think there's 20 of us. I think everybody lives within 15 minutes of each other. So it's pretty cool to see everybody at every family gathering for the most part. So support system's always been amazing. And then I actually ended up met Tori in seventh grade and then started dating her in sophomore year of high school. So it's pretty cool that we've been able to be together throughout every step of the process, whether that be um, through high school successes, injuries, whether that be trying to try to date each other 4 hours from each other while she's at Whitewater and I'm back in Iowa City. So there's been so many ups and downs with everything, but I just could not begin to explain how blessed I've been with the people in my life. So
That's awesome. Let's piggyback, kind of go back to the small town roots. Orion, Illinois is just about an hour and a half south of us, in Freeport, Illinois, up in the northwest corner. Small
yeah,
town Illinois guy. Just talk about that opportunity, having that small town chip, taking that to Iowa City, and just really propelling your career.
yeah, it's definitely I there's been several Division I athletes that have come out of Orion, but no football players that I'm aware of. So it's pretty cool to be. And then I'm also not. I don't think there's been anybody that's done any Power Five stuff. So it's pretty cool to be able to be one of the only, if not the only, individual to come from my entire town. My whole family's always been athletic, so we always chirp each other to see, like, talk about who's the most athletic in the family. Sister played Division II volleyball. Cousin played basketball at Loyola. Other cousin was good at basketball and baseball. It's just like everybody, everybody was always excelling at Orion, and then everybody pursued it in college too. So yeah,
Yeah, I want to ask you a double part question.
yeah,
First, my first question is, Cameron Hutt from Whitewater, correct?
yeah, yep,
Yeah,
I
so
do.
I've seen it on social media.
Yeah, I saw you guys followed each other. Yeah.
Yeah,
you guys have attended some camps together, strengthening your relationship with God, and being able to
Mm-hmm.
do stuff like that. So kind of just piggyback off that, what it's like to make those connections with other fellow athletes and kind of form relationships with them.
yeah. So ever since I can remember, I was always very involved in the church. I ended up going. I grew up in a Lutheran church, and then I was sorry, moving that over. I ended up growing up in a Lutheran church. I was very involved in FCA throughout high school, and then once I got to college, we didn't have an FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, so I ended up joining Athletes in Action, and I was a leader for that for several years too. And one of the things Athletes in Action does is they offer a camp called the Ultimate Training Camp, and that's always in St. Thomas, at St. Thomas University. So
Mm.
it's just a camp that brings together other athletes that are trying to learn how to apply faith to their sport, and it's just been truly incredible to see the breeding ground of like relationships and your own growth in your spiritual life as well. I've met so many great people that I still keep in contact with. um, cam is Cam is amazing. We are in
Cam's
our
awesome.
so there's different groups at this camp, and it's like it's tough because I don't want to give away details for people who would consider doing it, but it's like the concept of the camp is to break you down mentally, physically, and spiritually so that you have nothing else to rely on other than your faith in God, because God is the ultimate provider. You need to understand that God is the one that is in control of it all, and that He has the perfect and ultimate plan. And whether or not you perform well for your coach or your I know so many people that like put so much stock and so much purpose into performing for the people around them.
Mm.
And one of my favorite things is like this concept is called audience of one. And it's like you're competing for God and God alone, because He is the only individual who has been there that has allowed you to get to this spot. It's not and yes, He's absolutely put people in place for that, but you're not competing for them. You're competing for God and God alone. So, but yeah, throughout this camp, we were in a small group, and our group ended up, we spent tens of hours together throughout the week, and it was just pretty cool to see. Um, you guys know throughout sports is like the way you suffer um, beside the guy next to you or the people next to you, that just breeds that relationship so much faster, and it's just truly incredible to see how close you can get to somebody in less than a week. But yeah, Cam's a man.
That's awesome. We actually my double
Yeah.
part question to that is, so yeah, me and Gannon, we had the opportunity. We interviewed
Shout
Cam.
out Cam, man. He's
Yeah,
awesome.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
grown close to him. Great dude. Just a genuine down to earth guy. But the second question on top of that is, so you've been named to player councils, leadership councils, all a part of being an Iowa Hawkeye. Coaches there, the coaching staff, players around you have obviously all viewed you as someone who's a high character guy, someone who breeds success in a locker room, who's a great teammate, who's coachable. Obviously, your relationship with God helps with that. But what else has formed you into this person who
Hmm.
has great integrity and is a high character guy?
Yeah, outside of faith, it's just valuing relationships. I think that's key, and it's never out of a position to try to manipulate somebody or anything like that. But it's like
Yep.
genuinely trying to treat others the way you want to be treated. One of my, well, on top of that, my parents have just instilled these values in me that I will not compromise on in the way I go about treating people. Obviously, I fail. I fail more often than I'd like, but the majority of the time, I'm trying to treat everybody as if they are the I'm trying to be intentional with everybody, whether or not that be the custodians at the facility, whether that be the coaches, whether that be the GAs, whether that be my teammates. It's like people understand and they see genuine interactions, and it's pretty cool to see how many relationships you never would have expected just because you give
Mm-hmm.
somebody the time of day. One of my favorite books, I got it over here.
Let's go.
I'm a book guy. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Have you guys read that one at all?
I have
Listened to it at
I
not.
all?
have
I'll have to
not.
check that out.
All right. So I have read that. I've highlighted throughout the whole thing. It's like,
Let's give us a line. You got a quote or a passage in there, something you like?
oh, all of it. It's like, it. I'm not kidding. It doesn't miss. It's like it
Yeah.
talks about remembering people's names. It's the most important word in the world to them. It's
That's awesome.
um, I don't know. It just goes through a bunch of stuff. Like I said, it's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it's like, it sounds a little manipulative, the title, I think. It's not at all. It's just how to treat somebody in a proper and respectful way. And it's like, again, it's crazy because the original copy of that was written in 1937, and they've updated it a few times, but it's tried and true. It's great stuff. Outside the Bible, best book ever written. I
That's
listen to
awesome.
it. I listen to it probably 3 times a year too.
Wow.
So, yeah,
I'm
uh,
glad I asked that
Yeah,
question,
yeah,
man. It
dude,
got
that's
you
awesome.
talking about
yeah,
the favorite book. That's awesome, man.
yeah,
I'll definitely have to check that out.
I
yep,
think the big thing that stuck out to me on that second part of that answer was your relationship building and how you treat a custodian, your GAs, your players, your coaches. It all remains the same. I played college baseball 4 years. I'm a grad assistant down in Florida at Kaiser University. I got my young guys, and I tell them nobody's ever too good to take out the trash. Those are the
right,
different types of things that set the tone. But that leads me right to my next question because I want to talk about the coaching staff at Iowa that you played under with Kirk Ferentz.
yep,
Just a 10-year guy. If anybody knows anything about Iowa football, what he means to the landscape of college football as a whole, his name's been in the headlines with some stuff up and down over the last 3 to 4 years, but you see his players, his former players, come to his defense and stick up for him no matter what the situation is. I want you to just piggyback off of that culture that he established, I think, back in the 90s when he got the job and all the way to today. And then also hit on your defensive line coach, Kevin Bell. He's a great follow
yeah,
on Twitter if you don't follow him. He's an Iowa dude, man. I love his motivation, his stuff that he gets going. Just kind of talk about those two
yep.
individuals, please.
Yeah, so it's just truly incredible the way that we, as a football team, have been able to be so consistent, right? Coach Ferentz and a few of the other coaches have been there since 1998, I think. So it's been over 25 years of one coaching staff, and obviously there's been pieces that moved around, but it's like your head coach. Most of the time, the strength coach, like we've only had two strength coaches. We've only had two defensive coordinators. We've only had one head coach. It's like it's crazy to see like the actual structural integrity of our organization. It's so much because of the way we recruit people. I was going after people. They're not always going to go after the 5-star, the high 4-star athletes that a lot of fans want them to go after. It's like we're going after guys that will fit our culture and that we believe will be able to have a impact. Maybe not the first year, but start progressing in a way that we can develop them into somebody that we want them to turn into by the end of their career. Because there's so many guys that you hear that have never played for 3 years and then they just blow up their fourth or their fifth year. It's like the developmental system that we have set up is definitely the way. Is definitely the reason we've had so much success along. But beside that is just recruiting and the being able to get high character guys. Um, and then Coach KB, he is the man. Um, those meetings, I don't know if I've ever heard somebody like obviously when you're in meetings for hours and hours a day, it can get pretty tedious and it's like it's tough, but like he just has a gift at making them like one of his gifts is being able to keep people involved and just say something out of pocket just to get a laugh and then it brightens the mood for a little bit, right? It's like the way he's able to interject and just say some stuff. I genuinely enjoyed going to meetings just because the energy he brought. And he was a straight shooter, I tell you. That's one of the biggest things is like, that's one of the biggest reasons why I respect him so much. Excuse me. But he's never going to sugarcoat anything. He's going to tell you how he sees it. And if you don't like that, he's going to say, tough, figure it out. It's like, but I like he's very consistent. Those are the big things that, high character guys that are consistent, that are willing to put in the work. And, it also helps that he's such a, uh, fun guy to be around too. So,
1 second. I
yeah,
just want to build off that, Bryce, before you get going. I think the biggest thing with that high character and shooting stuff straight, not sugarcoating, it's what these kids and everybody wants to, or not what they want to hear, but it's what they need to
right.
hear at the end of the day because
Yep.
that's the foundation. I literally had my pitching coach, another assistant that I work with today when we recorded this, sat down with the kid today. We sat down in the locker room and had a few talks with them. And we're saying if we're going to be here, patting you on the butt, telling you good job with everything that you're doing, regardless if it's good or not, what's going to happen when you get to the real world and you have a job setting? It's not going to be that way. You're either going to be cut and dry. You're either going to get the job done or you're going to get fired and move on to the next
Absolutely.
person. And that's the real life skills why I enjoy coaching so much and why other coaches are so great at what they do. I just wanted to throw that in.
No, it's something special about somebody because like throughout recruiting, he's not
Yeah.
sugarcoating it any like so many people that you talk to throughout different college organizations are so manipulative. It's like, yeah, you have a shot to start your freshman year. It's like when he darn sure knows you have no shot. It's like by no means is he saying that you'll never play, but it's like there's a progression that needs to be had that so many people overpromise and underdeliver, and it's like, and then people will have these expectations of being like, I deserve this. It's like, no, you don't. You have not done a thing to deserve that. And it's like when you get somebody that shoots it straight with you, it's like, all right, all right. Some like you said, it sucks to hear it. You never want to hear it,
No.
but you need to hear it.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think it makes the relationship real. Like it's
Right.
just the
Genuine, 100%.
transparency involved. Like you feel like you can, and I think what I mean by that when it makes the relationship real, it's the trust. It's the trust
Right.
factor of like instead of not hearing what I or instead of hearing something that I don't want to hear compared to not hearing it, like it's something in our heads that we have to understand as athletes and as coaches that the more we hear stuff we don't want to hear, the better off we are. The more we
Yeah.
grow, the more we learn, the more we flourish. But to build off of that, what's the favorite memory playing for the Iowa Hawkeyes? Whether it's if you got a specific story, I know you've already brought the book out, so let's hear a story.
Yeah.
Whew. Where do you begin, man? Whew.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's
It's
tons of memories,
been a
tons of
long
memories.
time, I tell you. 5 years, there's plenty of them. Um, I'll start off by saying any meeting with KB,
Yeah.
you got potential for some content there. But I'm not gonna get into those ones. Some of my favorite memories was during COVID when we were sent out. They sent us home with some equipment, and we just built a garage gym. My roommates were so it was myself, Jack Campbell, Sam LaPorta, Jackson Fergs, Kyler Fisher, and then one transitioned halfway through. And it was Jake Karchinski. He ended up retiring early. Um, but it's like just waking up and being able to work out. We had no obligations. It wasn't fun all the time, but it's like we're just like makeshifting like a dip rack out of two truck tailgates. It's like so much of the stuff is just like
That's
completely
awesome.
it's the little things, and it's like it's always going to be the relationships for me. It's like obviously walking out of the tunnel on game day, that's amazing. Walking into the hospitals, like waving at the hospital, like those are the things that stick out for sure. It's like just being able to go in and develop these relationships is truly incredible. It's like I mentioned earlier with that camp, it's the way you're able to bond with these guys because you know what each other's are going through and the suffering that you guys go through, the hardships, the fun, the good, the bad, the ugly, all that stuff you're going through together. So that's definitely the stuff that you always remember the most. But it's hardly ever like an actual full on story. It's just like sitting around the locker room. Those are always the times um, when you always get those fun memories, I guess.
Well, it sounds like the makeshift weights and all that. They sound like they worked well for Campbell and Laporta, the two
Yeah, no
guys that were
kidding. Yeah,
very successful in year one.
I've been a Lions fan this year. Never have been before, but
Just
yeah,
as an Iowa fan, a sports fan, here in that room with Jack Campbell, Sam LaPorta, that kind of carries me into the next thing. Just the pedigree that Iowa football carries with the interior linemen on the offensive, defensive side, the tight end, just the amount of defensive backs, everybody in the league right now that is making plays on the NFL roster. I keep up with everybody. It's just awesome to see. Just kind of talk about those different NFL superstars, not even Sam and Jack, but just everybody that you played with over your 5 years like that. It's got to be so much motivation because those are your brothers, those are your dudes. But then vice versa, in a year from now, then you'll see them on TV playing the NFL. Just talk about that, and it's got to be so motivational for you.
yeah, it's amazing being able to see the guys that you grew up with, that you went through all of your early years with, just have so much success and you know the work they put in. It's like it's finally paying off outside of college. Obviously, they had success there too, but it's like these things don't come easy, and you recognize that when you're going through it. But it's just it's something special being able to pretty much look at not every team, but I would say 80% of the teams and have an Iowa guy. So it's like, and then you go back on campus. There's guys that played 20 years ago that Coach Ferentz is bringing up to talk to the team that because they came and watched practice. It's like the alumni from Iowa football have a special relationship, and it's like the way I could. There's people I've never met before that if I called them and asked them for something, they'd drop everything to do it, just because what that what that bond is like playing for Iowa football. It's like these guys that are uh, borderline retired are still had my coach that was there. It's like it's pretty cool to have the same coach for the last 26 years or whatever. It's that also helps build the relationship too. But like you said, just seeing so many guys have success is amazing. I remember going against Linderbaum and Wirfs and Alaric Jackson, and it's just like you can go on and on about guys you play with, and like you get desensitized to it sometimes. It's like you see Tyler Linderbaum in the room, you're like, "Oh, what's up, Tyler?" It's like not the not the first round draft pick for the Baltimore Ravens. It's like nothing like that. It's like it's just another guy, and he'll just treat you like another guy too. So it's amazing the relationships that have been able to be developed. So
100%. I'm glad you added that in there, talking about when you see Tyler, it's just Tyler.
yeah,
It's not Tyler the first round pick. It's
and
not
that's everyone.
Tyler the
That
one who
I'm just that
performed.
Tyler was an
Oh
example,
yeah,
but
Exactly.
that's
for
everyone.
sure.
Yeah,
And that's the best part about that, when we can hear stuff like that, because it helps you realize. And for all the fans out there that scream at their TV and get pissed off about this, upset about that, we do have to understand that these athletes are human.
Humans.
They put their pants on the same way we do. They tie their shoes the same way we do. And I'm glad you added that in there, because it's 100% factual. We're all just human, and no matter how successful we are in sports, if it's at the highest level in the NFL, if we never make it out of high school to play at the college level, understand that these athletes are human and they go through hardships. But I want to take this to a new level now. We've talked about relationships, growing up, college ball, Iowa. We've thrown a lot at you, so I appreciate you
yeah.
sticking in with us. But talk to me about the NFL Combine experience. Were there some nerves heading into it, the preparation leading up to
Yep.
it, and just everything about your overall experience?
Yeah, so coming out of the season, I had no idea. Some guys got their invites like right after the bowl game, so it's like you're waiting to see if you're getting invited the whole time. So we had it planned. I was going to train in Fort Myers, Florida, and at X3 Sports Performance, and the guys there do a great job and love them to death. It was a great experience, but it's like you're going in every day. You don't know if you're going to have pro day or if you're going to have combine. So you're doing all this preparation, not knowing when the actual test day is going to be. Then we had the Shrine Bowl, which is a senior bowl in Dallas, and that went pretty well. And before, like midweek during that week, it's like you're having interviews all week. I had 29 interviews in 3 days, and
Jeez.
it's just like they're hammering you and hammering you and hammering you. It's like nonstop, but not a whole lot of sleep. Not a whole lot of not enough food. There's a lot of food there, but it's never enough for when you're trying to keep weight on. But and then you just get an email and it's like, hey, you're invited. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like that's awesome. I just got invited to the combine. So that pushes everything up an extra 2 weeks. So it's like you go from you get back from the Shrine Bowl, you're like, we gotta get to work. It's like we're coming up in less than a month where we gotta ship out. So went back down to Florida, ended up getting good training in, and like I said, they're amazing. The guys are everyone I trained with, great to be around. Great experience. Nice to be in Florida in the winter too. I tell you.
Gannon knows all about
Oh,
that.
I'm
He's living
straight
down in
across. I'm
Florida.
in, I'm in West Palm Beach, right across the
Oh
Alameda
yeah,
Alley from you,
yeah,
boss. Yeah, yeah.
that's awesome. So
Oh man, dude, the first
um,
time not having a winter in our entire lives, man.
I
It's
know.
it's crazy.
It's amazing.
Oh,
But yeah, I like to be back. We got back last Monday, so but anyways, once we got to got invited to the combine, was training and everything. That was going great. Ended up getting to the combine, and it is high stress week for sure. Amazing experience. Very grateful, very blessed to be able to have the opportunity. But it's like you're running the whole time. There's like the first day we got there, it was Monday. Got there Monday. Had a few hours to get settled. Had dinner, a meeting, and then our actual interview started at 7 p.m. And those went to 11 p.m. So you had your interviews and you had to stay there even if even if nobody was having interviews with you, you just had to sit there and wait for somebody to pull you. So it's like I could some guys sat there for 3 hours and didn't have a single interview. It's like it's brutal. And then you get done at 11, you get back at 11:30, then you still have to train because you're trying to prime yourself for the actual test day. So you're 3 days out from testing, but you have to train at 11 o'clock. So got out at 11. So I think we started stretching, like started our warm up at midnight. And then you do your workout. It's short. It's not like a full workout by any means, but it's 45 minutes. And then you go and have to get a meal. And then you go to bed. And then you wake up at 5:45, I think I woke up on that Tuesday. So it's like you're just running the whole time. And I think I lost 7 pounds just because I was in such a caloric deficit the whole week. I'm like, I was probably in a 3,000 calorie deficit the majority of the week. And so you have a ton of sleep deprivation, you have a ton of nutritional deprivation, you have a high stress environment. So it's just like it takes a toll on you. And then they ask you to perform at your highest level on your test day. Oh, not to mention they have all these on the medical days. They take forever. It's like there's guys that are at the hospital that were just getting X-rays or MRIs for 9 hours on the day before you test. I'm like, or I guess that would have been for me. It was 2 days, but we had a guy that I trained with that ended up. He had back to back 7.5, 8 hour days at the hospital, and then they asked him to run fast the next day. It's like that's not so. It's pretty cool to see the guys that are able to just stay locked in and be able to get things firing, even though the conditions are not favorable by any means. But once you get on the field, it's test day. It's eerie quiet. There's some fans in the far corner, but it's like an echo. It's like way out there. It's like they're not even having much impact on what you're doing, and you're just trying to put up your best numbers that you can. And it's like it's just eerie quiet. Like I said, it's awkward. It's something I dreamed about my whole life. I'm like, that's gonna be amazing. I'm like, it was cool. It was cool, but it was not by a long shot what I was expecting it to be like.
Yeah.
Just being at Iowa, having such great fans, being even like wrestling tournaments in high school, like something like that.
yeah.
Nothing. It was pretty cool though that I tested very well. The 40-yard dash I was pretty frustrated with. I ran a 5:05. I'm capable of running faster than that. I didn't, but everything else, bench, I hit 27 reps. They called me on 2 for not locking out all the time or not locking out completely. So I hit 25 officially. If I would have waited for pro day, I think it could have hit 30, 32. But it's just like bench is the last thing during the week. And I wanted to be the only defensive lineman to do every single drill throughout the week because that shows that you're a competitor. And I chose to just send it, I guess. But yeah, so outside of the bench and the 40, everything else I tied or PR'd on. So it was pretty darn encouraging.
Man, shout out
Well,
to you,
you're
man. That's awesome. That's
Oh,
awesome.
Thank
100%.
you.
Your RAS score, the athletic score, and I know not a lot of people understand it if you don't follow the combine and look into stuff
Yep.
like that. But your score, I mean, it ended up being a 9.33 unofficially out of 10, which ranks 109 out of 1,620 defensive tackles from 1987 up until 2024. So talk about just overall improving the draft stock and rising up those boards. So man, flowers to you. I know it probably was an eerie experience, like you said, with the quietness and everything, but you
Yeah.
rose to the occasion and balled out.
Yeah. It's well, thank you, but it's something. I'm um just a competitor, so I just
Yeah.
love competing.
Just
Oh
another
man.
day at the office, baby.
Yeah.
I kind of want to hit back. You talked about the thoroughness of those interview processes. Not have to get into
hmm
specifics and all that, but what were some things that maybe shocked you, a little attention getter that maybe they asked you that maybe you didn't know or were expecting? And then what's something that you kind of learned about yourself that you didn't know before you went through that interview process?
I was shocked at how easy the interview process was. It's literally just chopping it up with some bros. It's
Hmm.
nothing. It's nothing. They ask football questions. I'm sure people have gotten harder questions than I've had, but I just I was able to um, stay in tuned and answer whatever anybody threw at me. I don't remember having a uh, any like truly challenging questions, which shocked me because I was expecting. I'm like, interview prep was one thing I was focused on. Like I was working
Hmm.
on. I had all these notes. I had all these mock questions written out prior to it. It's like you're literally just talking and you're
Yeah.
just telling your life stories. It's not much different than what we're doing right now. So I was very very grateful that it wasn't nearly as strenuous as what I was expecting. So, but there's not, like I said, it's just really talking. There's not much more to it. There's a couple football questions. It's like a team will show you 4 plays they install. They said, do not take any notes. Remember these 4 plays. You'll watch film and you have to make the calls, make the checks based off of what they had shown you previously, which if you're trying to remember 4 plays, it's fairly simplistic. If they would have said remember a dozen of them and remember all the lingo of all 12, it'd just be like, okay, that would be a little sensory
Yeah.
overload. But yeah, everything that I was asked was fairly straightforward for an interview. Um, nothing, nothing at all that was caught me off guard, I guess.
Oh, 100%. I had seen just, two teams you met with informally being the Steelers, which you grew up a fan of the Steelers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Awesome, awesome. And then the Dallas Cowboys. I got the
Yep,
Dallas Cowboys stuff rocking behind me.
I saw that.
It would be a blessing to add you to our D line. We need those D tackles. But overall, let's keep it away from the teams. What is an NFL team in general? Whoever drafts Logan Lee, what are they getting out of you as a player and as a person?
Yeah. They're getting a competitor. They're getting a man who is willing to put his body on the line for the guys around him. And then they're getting an ultimate teammate. Just like I said, it goes into the second part. It's like just being able to do your job efficiently. It's if you ask me to sacrifice some of my statistics in order to be able to allow the team to have a little bit more success, I am more than willing to appease that. There's nothing, there's no hesitation. I just want to be able to do what we can to win football games.
Love it.
Um,
Yeah.
Now kind of with the combine wrapped up, the pro day coming up. I can't remember what the Iowa date is. I'm spacing out right now off the top of my head. But just kind of take a timeline up to the draft day, the next couple months, kind of what you're doing into March into April. It's what we're about a little over 6 weeks away here till the draft. Just kind of give some timelines, some finishing touches. What are you kind of doing day in out, day in out? Obviously, you're training, eating, doing all those different types of things. But kind of what the pre-combine or post-combine and
hmm
pre-pro day is looking like.
Yeah, it's a little tempo down just because I'm not going to be doing the same testing that I was. So all of the actual combine testing, I will not be doing any of that at pro day. I'll just be doing the drill work, the defensive line. I'll be doing a little bit of tight end drill work, and I'll be doing a little bit of long snapping too, just to try to establish um, some value elsewhere other than D line. So just kind of bouncing back and forth between those. Training still still working hard, but it's like that 2 week phase is almost not enough to like ramp it up and then
Yeah.
try to prime it back down afterwards. It's like you kind of have to stay on your priming phase, so it's much less intense than pre-combine training, but we'll ramp it back up post pro day.
Oh
Oh, that's awesome. I'm sure it's a lot just in general, and I'm sure you're probably just ready to get to draft weekend and
Right.
get to chilling on the couch come time to get your name called and everything. But I want to wrap up with these last two
Yep.
questions. My question, just some advice to your younger self that you would give if you could go back and talk to your younger self or just a younger kid in general right now that's an athlete and has dreams and aspirations to reach to where Logan Lee's at in life right now, about to enter the NFL. What would you say to that kid?
Number one, this is by far like this is one of the questions I was asked in these interviews, right? It's like the number one thing I would say is that you do not have to be perfect at what you're trying to do. It's like there is a natural progression. You will take steps forward, you will take steps backwards. Like early on in my college career, I was just trying to be perfect at everything, which made me lose my mind and start like breaking down other areas
yeah.
where I'm trying to be so intentional and so detailed that yeah, I might correct the one thing I'm focusing on, but everything else is out the window after that. It's like, um, it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to take a step back at times. If you're able to rebound, learn from that, and there's great power in being able to learn from your mistakes and understanding that, like improvement and success is more of a trajectory than it is a straight line. It's not an actual end goal. There's not a end point where you're like, wow, I made it. It's like, no, I'm still trying to get better each and every day, whether that be mentally, physically, spiritually. There's so many different areas in which you can improve. It's just not having to feel like you have to be perfect at everything. Would definitely be the advice I'd give to anybody coming up. It's like, take your time and understand that things will be difficult. You will not be able to do everything you had hoped immediately. Just take it day by day and work on 1% improvement each and every day.
That's awesome. I like to preach to my younger guys. You got 24 hours each day. What are you going to do with that 24? And then the next day,
Yeah,
the clean slate, man. We're all in this game of life. There's levels to it each and every single day. You might go down 3 levels, but you can go back up 4. And there's never a ceiling that you're going to get to that final level, just like you touched on, man. That's awesome.
absolutely.
The last thing I just want to ask is just kind of rate your experience today, kind of talk about your time on 365U, some advice for us if we could, maybe clean a few things up, just some things that you liked.
No, I think it was very well ran. It's I was actually on another podcast last night too. It's like format's very similar. So the it's really cool being able to just talk with the guys. It's not really um just talking about interests and stuff like that. You guys I would say try to jump into like passions a little bit more, and that's tough because like you're on a little bit more of a time crunch. If you had a full hour, I would say jump into something outside of your sport or your specified activity in which you're interviewing somebody for. It's like, what are you passionate about? So it's like, because you can get people on some, yeah, I don't know. I just think it's pretty fun to hear. I love hearing people that are passionate about stuff. So that'd be the only thing. But
Absolutely.
I was able to hit my faith. You asked that question, so it's like that's the number one thing. So yeah, but this was awesome. I really appreciate you guys setting this up.
Awesome, man. We appreciate you, and I just want to say, like, first off, thank you for coming on here, and that was really like the first time we've truly gotten feedback about our show, and
Yes.
Yeah,
that's what we
First time,
ask
like
every
legit first
time.
answer.
yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
And it
No, I'm a straight shooter. I'm not. I mean,
Shout
yeah,
out Coach KB,
it was a lot
baby.
of fun. Yeah,
And we appreciate that, but yeah, like just to add to that, man, like you don't have to do these type of things. You don't have to come on here. You don't have to talk to people about your experience of a football player and as a person, but you were willing to. So I'm thankful for that. Appreciative of Tori for allowing us to
Yes,
get
for
this
sure.
access to be able to get
yeah,
you on the show, and just overall very blessed. And I wish you the best. I know it's coming up, pro day, draft day, all of that experience for you. I hope it works out exactly the way you want it to. I know God is on your side during this
absolutely.
journey, and I definitely can't wait to watch you ball on Sundays.
Well, good. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I appreciate you
Yeah.
having me on. I look forward to staying in touch with you guys too. So, yeah, good luck with this as you guys grow and continue to progress.
Sweet, man. I just want to say quick, you talked about the
Yeah.
passion. My family has season tickets for 20 years, 609 Melrose, Iowa
Yep.
City. I got family, extended family all across Iowa, Illinois. They'll be tuning into this. As a sports fan, an Iowa guy growing up, to have this is awesome, man. An Illinois guy, just something that embodies us a little bit, and then also being the Iowa representation. It's truly awesome, man. And just to hear your story, your head's on straight, man. Everything that you got going on in your life, it's awesome. And there's no reason, there's no secret why you're not in this position right now. Like that,
Right.
it's all telltale. But just best of luck as your journey will keep going forward, man. We'll be tuning in too, man. Just best of luck to you. Thank you a lot for this.
Of course. Appreciate it, gentlemen.
Thank you guys for tapping into this one, and we will see you next time.